What's up, you guys? You're tuned in to the GM podcast. We are on the road and through your speakers. Today we want to talk about dun 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 the subject sex. That's right, not six, sex.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? We're going to be talking about some taboo situations today.
Yikes. I know some people cringe at this subject, but you and I think we have a pretty good understanding on what we like to talk about when it comes to these situations.
And we're pretty damn mature, so that helps.
There you go. Take it away, Miss Mature.
Yeah, I guess we're not very mature, but we're mature enough. No, I think you and I have a very open communication system, which is freaking amazing because you and I can literally talk about anything and everything, and we may disagree on some stuff, and then we agree on a lot of stuff. So today's topic is sex. I think the word sex, obviously everybody's like, we all know what it means, but do we like to talk about it, especially with the people we love? Sex is a very taboo, I think, topic where we are afraid or embarrassed to talk to our partners, our sexual partners, or not even sexual partners. I think most of the time it's difficult to speak to the person you're actually committed to. For whatever strange reason, we are either embarrassed or ashamed to bring up certain situations with the person we're intimate with. And it doesn't just stop there. Some people are embarrassed and ashamed to talk to their own children about sex. Personally, I'm not. I know my kids, both my sons, because I have two older sons, I know they think like, Mom, you need a filter. But to be honest with you, I am very completely honest with my two sons. Sex is normal. Sex is part of nature. This is how people reproduce. This is, animals do it, insects do it. It's a very natural thing. However, I think a lot of people maybe don't do natural things with it. I don't know. But this is why we're bringing up the subject. Last night we kind of had a little prep talk about it. We wanted to kind of discuss the topics that we wanted to bring to the table today. And number one, I think, is how important it is to have an open sexual communication, not relationship. I know, I see your face. I'm not talking about open sex, whatever. No. You need to have an open communication with your partner, because if you don't, then, that's where things start brewing. Insecurities start brewing. Sexual frustration starts brewing. Cheating. I mean, some people will use cheating as an excuse. I personally don't think that cheating is an excuse. Like, if you are unhappy, you need to talk to that person instead of going behind their back and hurting them. Like, that's not an excuse. So I think sex is one of those topics where you need to be able to speak to your loved one, because if you can't speak to your loved one, like I said, it's not an excuse, but most people will use it as an excuse to stray from your partner.
Well, you have a good, interesting point there, partner. For me, I never really was open with my significance. I guess I would rub them the wrong way, or rub her the wrong way. It was just, it just never really occurred to me to be that open. And now that we're bringing this subject to light, I think it'll be, going forward, this would be an interesting way of getting what you want from your significant other. Especially now, if people are married and they've lost that spark, if they've been dating for a very long time and they want to start venturing off or venturing into doing other things, it's just it becomes very how do you say, very hurtful if certain people take it the wrong way, you know what I mean? But I think from my behalf, from here on out, I couldn't go back to who I was. So being who I am now, if I do want to have an open communication with sex, now we get thrown off, man. It's kind of I wouldn't say embarrassing, but it's funny, you know. It's a funny subject. But yeah, nevertheless, I would definitely be more open and more intellectual with this person, because it's necessary, you know. It is something that we all need to be more open with, because hey, we're open with nowadays a lot of people are open with their feelings. Yep. You know, why not be open about sex, especially when your partner, like when you bring these certain things up to them, they deserve that part of you, you know, and vice versa. I think that the other person should be just as open as you are, if you know what I mean.
You know, I think it all starts from the beginning. You kind of set the foundation to your relationship or friendship or whatever you're involved in. I think it starts from the beginning. If you set a strong foundation and you speak with all honesty and you say how things, what's in your mind, what's in your heart, and you kind of just say, look, this is where I stand, this is what I need, and this is what I want. And as hurtful and as straight out as those words may seem, you're really doing the other person a favor, because you're not wasting their time. And I'm talking about people like when you're first starting to date, right? I'm not talking about marriages and all that. We'll kind of touch on those subjects, but I'm talking about like when you first meet somebody, you need to lay that foundation, like boom, here it is. And, you know, don't waste my time. I won't waste your time. You're a cool person. Thank you very much. Like,
what happens, say, if, for instance, in a period of time after dating that person, you just can't keep up with that demand? What would you do?
Exactly. So I think a lot of times when we jump into a relationship, we tend to lie a little bit because we want them to like us. So we tend to lie a little bit and say, well, you know, or we kind of throw in the lure. So we throw out bait, hoping they'll bite on it. And,
not in the way that you think.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying, right? Like you throw out some bait and you're hoping that they will take the bait.
Right.
And when they don't take the bait, then you're kind of disappointed. But whose fault is it? It's yours for not speaking out on how you really feel.
And not keeping it consistent.
Yeah, and not keeping it. So, like, if you start dating somebody and you pretty much are your honest, true self, and you act the way you normally would act with other people, with people you feel comfortable with, and you just say what's on your mind, you know, there's a I've always said this. You can be honest or you could be an asshole. There are two different honest people. I don't agree with being an asshole. Be honest, but don't be rude about it, or don't purposely do things that will hurt somebody, because you know, like in your head, before you say things, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna say this and it's gonna hurt them, but fuck it, I'm gonna say it anyways. You know. You know, even though out of anger or whatever, you have a slight conscience moment where you say, I'm gonna say it anyway. I really don't give a damn. So, you know, there's honesty, and then there's being an asshole. So I think you could lay down the foundation when you first meet somebody and say, look, man, or look, woman, this is what I like. You know, are you in it? Are you into it? No, yes. Because what happens is you could lie to that person, and then you jump into a relationship, a sexual, exactly. And maybe they're not ready for you, or you're not ready for them, because your sexual chemistry doesn't match. And how great is it to meet somebody and your sexual tension or chemistry matches? It'd be great to always meet somebody and then it kind of like you hit it off right away, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think all men would like that.
That's what I'm saying. And not just men though, women too. Like women too. We sometimes as women, I think we have this idea in our head like, okay, I can't act a certain way because he's going to think I'm this or that. Or if I request this, it's going to shoo him away. Like it shouldn't be like that. And I think if we avoid wasting each other's time, you know, yeah, it might hurt, it might sting a little bit. Like what really do you have to lose? Yeah, you damage your ego a little bit, but you know what? He didn't waste your time. She didn't waste your time. Thank God. Because now you've made room for somebody else to come in and to fulfill your needs and your desires and to keep you, you know, happy, I guess, or whatever, you know? But I think when you're married, and I speak from experience because I was married for 20 years, there is a sense of you're scared of what they're going to say. You're scared of what your spouse is going to say or to think. And I'm sure a lot of married people can relate to this. And not just married, even people who have been together for a long time. When you try to do something different in the bedroom, it's like, who did you do this to? It's like, wait, I seen it on TV. You know what I mean? But people right away judge you. And the judgment is what scares a lot of people from being honest.
Which along comes the sexual frustration.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're trying to implement these things to keep that spark lit. But at the end of the day, you know, it's so thrown off by the other person because they don't know where the hell you got it from.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, you see it being tried on TV. Is it TV?
Yeah.
Or is it the dark web?
Videos.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You do become this sexually frustrated person. And with that frustration, you timid yourself into this corner where like you can't even tell your partner nothing.
Yeah.
Because it just becomes the same old routine.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna lay right here.
Let's not get into details.
Well, yeah, let's not get into details, but you guys understand where it leads to. If it becomes laziness, if it becomes just so routine, it just needs to go out the window, you know. And
A change.
yeah, a little bit of a thumb somewhere. It might be it might be just something that would light that spark again, you know. These are just like dumb things, you know, but they don't have to, you know.
I think people get the point.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep it at that.
Yeah, man. I think, you know, like you said, partner, I think if you, like, and I think a lot of couples live in a very sexual frustration. And, you know, they can't lie to us. We've all been there. We've all thought of, you know, scenarios and then you're too scared to bring it up. Or, you know, I think honestly it's not even the fear, it's the judgment. You don't want them to think bad about you. You don't want them to think you're a pervert or you're dirty or who have you done this with? Like accusations, like that's what we're fearful of, because especially when you love somebody and you're in a relationship, a long-term relationship, you're afraid of what they're going to think about you because you want them to love you because you love them, and they don't understand that the reason you come to them with these ideas or because you trust them. So to me, it's a very devastating thing that if you cannot have an open communication with your sexual partner or boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife, it's sad because we've all been there. And, you know, for me, like, you know, when I was married for 20 years, I didn't want to be with nobody else. I just wanted to be with him. And anything that I would want to experience was with my husband at the time. But I was too embarrassed to say anything or to speak up because I was afraid of judgment. And that's a really sad way to be in a relationship, because then you start questioning yourself, am I really happy?
Right.
You know,
or am I good enough?
am I good enough? You know, but I think, you know, we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I hope that the next time I'm in a relationship, whether it's just a sexual relationship or whether it's a commitment, that I'm able to lay the foundation from the beginning and be exactly who I am. Because I don't.
And hopefully matched.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if it doesn't match and if it doesn't, if we can't see eye to eye on a lot of things, then maybe it's not meant to be. Because when you have a lot more things in common than the negative, then maybe it's worth it. But if the negative, not the negative, but if the things that you are not in common with that person are a lot more than the good, then maybe it's a waste of time. Honestly, it's a waste of time. That's how I see it. So I encourage everybody to try to have that communication with your partner. And then I think we touched bases last night when we were kind of going over this. Don't get me wrong, there are things that you need to be careful of, because there are some things that in society, unfortunately, are frowned upon. And a lot of people, you may think it's okay. You may think, well, my sexual, my sexual desire might be okay with you, but that other person's gonna be like, oh, hell no, what the? So it is a very intimidating topic, and I understand why it is. But I think we also need to be careful as mature adults to say, okay, if I want, for instance, I'm going to use the third party, okay? For instance, if I want a third party involved in our sexual relationship,
Wait, you said third party?
Third party. That might offend your partner. So we got to also use our brain and say, okay, there's things that maybe I shouldn't say, because there's things that maybe are not right, or it might hurt that person. So there's a balance. There's like you walk like on a thin line with this conversation, because at the end of the day, you don't know if that person is emotionally stable to handle what you got to say. Don't you agree?
Right. Yeah, of course. I think also too, you know, without the compatibility, leads to the sexual frustration, which leads to the insecurities that you have with this other person. And what happens at that point is you start to have these fantasies of other people, of how it would feel to, you know, it always staggers, you know. And then with the with all this insecurity, with all this, you know, frustration, you start to visualize what can happen if, you know, if you're gonna hurt this other person. If you do happen to do this with the other person, you know, you're gonna risk a lot of things. You know, your family, if you have one. Yep. You're gonna risk the relationship that you have, which is it would probably be the most important thing at this point. And you know, it leads to a lot of problems. So when you do lay it out all on the table, literally, when you do leave it all on the table, there's no gaps, there's nothing missing, there's no gray in between, you know, it's just black and white.
You know, and you touched a really good point right now when you said about, you know, you start fantasizing about being with other people. And you know, it's sad that that is true. Like you're saying facts, and it shouldn't. I think a relationship, for instance, if I was committed to somebody, shit, do I want them to fantasize about other people? Hell no. I would wish they would be open with me and say, hey, this is what I want to try. You know, because like you said, there's a lot more to lose for a hot sexual fling. There's a lot more to lose just because you couldn't be open with the person you actually love. Right. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense to me. Like
whether it lasted 1 hour or 2 minutes.
2 minutes. That's what I'm saying. Is it really worth it? You have to outweigh it and it's a tragedy that a lot of great relationships are ruined over sex, because some people might say, well, sex is not a big part of it, or it shouldn't be. Of course it is. Humans are designed to have sex. We that's how we reproduce. That's how the whole world reproduces. You have intercourse. So it is a big factor, and you're a human, and you have these feelings and desires. So people who don't think sex is a big thing is crazy, especially in a marriage or in a long-term relationship. It is so sad that it becomes stagnant. It's almost like you leave a bag of chips open. And it's sad to say it like that. But you know what? At the end of the day, if I'm married, or if
I'll still eat those chips.
No, that's nasty. Hard ass chips. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to, if I love somebody and I'm in a relationship, damn, like, I want to last I don't go into a relationship hoping to break up in a year or two over some dumb shit like, oh, you don't like that position? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, lay that foundation from the beginning. Be honest with your partner from the beginning. Always be yourself, because I think a lot of times when you meet somebody for the first time, you, like I just said earlier, you pretend to be somebody else. Fuck that. Throw it out the window. If they like you, they're going to like you for who you are and what you are. And if you're a great person and you're a little weird or whatever, you know what? Your weirdness just adds a little bit more, flame to the great fire. Before I go into the whole, talking about sex to your children, did you want to add anything else on the relationship side?
Honestly, I think no, I don't.
Well, there you go. Cut and dry. But no, honestly, like, I feel like sex is a very important topic, and I think that people should be responsible, especially, hey, if all you want to be is a one-night stand and that makes you happy, then so be it. But also, please be responsible. If you're going to live that lifestyle, be responsible and be open to. Okay, I'm gonna make a little confession. Okay, I was on a dating website like a couple years ago, and I told you this. You know this story. And this is like, I kind of thought I wanted a boyfriend, but I didn't know where my head was at the time, so I wanted to, like, put myself out there and see what happens. And I got to talking to this guy, and he straight out said, I'm looking for just sexual encounters. And my jaw dropped, like, in awe, because I had never dated before like that, And then I was like, what the hell? But you know what? I had a slight moment of, I was uncomfortable with that approach. But then, yeah, no, but then immediately, as I felt uncomfortable with his approach, I was like, holy shit, I give this man respect, because he's not trying to hurt me. He's not trying to use me. He's literally telling me, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
He's cutting the ties.
Forgetting about cutting the ties. He's being fucking honest. First of all, I said no, but because that's not what I was looking for. But that's my point, though. People may think like, oh, what a pig. No, hell no. I was like, damn. You know what, dude? I even told him, that's not what I'm looking for, but thank you. Thank you for telling me what you're looking for, because obviously we're on the wrong path here. But hey, man,
because you're a cochino.
But I told him this. I said, I hope you find what you're fucking looking for. And he said the same thing to me. Hey, man, I hope you find what you're looking for. And that was that. But I gained a ton of respect for that guy, rather than having a douchebag trying to waste my time, trying to lie to me just to get me in the bed. So that's my point. Lay the foundation from the beginning, and things will work out all the time. be true to yourself, be true to your partner, be true to that person that you encounter. And if you want to live a single life of just sexual encounters, then hey, that's all you. But please be responsible and mature out there, man. There is just too many fucking diseases.
I got a question for you. Since you wanted to talk about, bringing the subject up to your kids, what is a good age for you to talk to them about this subject?
Oh man, you opened up a whole can of worms. Okay, so I grew up in a household because there's history of, sexual abuse in my family. I'm not going to get into details, but I knew about sex at a very young age. Not sex, inappropriate touch. I was trained to understand what is inappropriate touching at a very young age. So I was very alert. People who listen to this are going to have a lot of like, oh, that's not right. Oh, she's too young. This, and that. But listen. When a child encounters a feeling for the first time and they are not trained, what happens? They don't know what that is. And they fall prey and victim to predators out there. So I have a different approach to parenting. My two boys knew what inappropriate touch was. Not sex. There was really no talk about sex, but inappropriate touch, because an inappropriate touch hopefully will stop or not stop, will make them aware of what's out there.
What the dangers are.
The dangers, there you go, because sometimes I don't know how to put my words and my thoughts into words. So my boys knew about inappropriate touch at a very young age. Is there an age limit? I think every child is different, and you're able to, your own child, so you can make that judgment on your own term. But once my kids started hitting puberty, then it was time for the sexual talk. You could tell when they're reaching puberty because you start seeing their little mustache. They start kind of acting different.
Well, like for a boy, you can tell, but for a girl, honestly, you could tell when a girl starts to hit puberty. But,
yeah.
Is there a certain age for a girl? Because I would say girls are more vulnerable to the situation.
I think they're both vulnerable, but yes, a female is a lot more. I know what you're trying to say, but I think, for instance, if you want to talk to your daughter, I think, first of all, I in my opinion, okay, you don't have to listen to me, but because I ain't no expert, but in my opinion, your daughter should know about inappropriate touch, okay? Because most molestations happen at a very young age, and that's unfortunate, and that's very fucking sad, but that's a dark world we live in. But as far as having sexual intercourse, you could tell when she starts going out, putting on her little makeup. That's when her mind is already changing. When you see her dressing a little bit with a little bit more uncovered up, she wants to go out. You could tell. For me, my mom, my dad was a serious guy. He never really got into those conversations with us. But my mom always informed us about everything. And she knew right away, when I started hitting puberty and I started going out with boys in high school and stuff, she knew. And so she told me straight out. She had the conversation, hey, you have sex, you're going to be pregnant, or you might get pregnant or catch something. Be careful. It's not worth it. You're young. She always was very open with me, and I am very beyond grateful for my mom. Even though, ironically and sadly enough, I became a young mother at my age, at 17, 18 years old. But that was my choice. I knew what the hell I was getting into because I was having sex at a young age. I knew it. I can't sit here and say my mom never warned me or she never tried to help me, with birth control. So ultimately, you can't control what your kids are going to do, but at least educate them. They're going to make mistakes regardless whether you give them the answers or not. Right. Did you want to add anything before I continue with how I approach my sons?
yeah, for all the men out there that have daughters, especially for single fathers, it's very important to make your kids aware. For my daughter, the sooner the better. But obviously, I don't want to rush this type of thing,
Right.
because yeah, you just don't want to put them in a predicament where like, oh crap.
Open up a can of worms.
Yeah, exactly. Open up a can of worms. But regardless, these situations, these subjects have to be brought up, and I am looking forward to it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So if I could shed some light on that, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and like I said, I know your kids are pretty young right now, but I mean, I think you should make them aware of certain things. Like, hey, and you don't even have to get into details. You could simply say, hey, I don't like, I don't think it's right, or I don't like when so and so shouldn't be hugging you like that or tickling you like that. It's just simple words. You don't need to get into details. But
Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I spoke to my son about. My son is a little older. He's about 10 years old, and I let him know. I'm like, the differences between touching and inappropriate touching.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes. So we close it at that. And I'm like, if you for whatever reason, there shouldn't be anybody touching you inappropriately.
yeah,
The difference between a hug and a hug. It's just there's two different types. So yeah, I'm glad that my son understands certain things, and I hope my daughter can rub off on that as well, because she's with him most of the time.
yeah. I really encourage parents to be open with their and this is all related to the whole sex topic. This is all related because if you're going to be open with your sexual partner, that's for your own damn desires. But if you're going to be open with about sexual topic to your kids, that's for their safety.
Right.
It's for their safety and it's for their future. So, not getting somebody pregnant, watching out for diseases, stuff like that. So sex, like I said, is very taboo, but you have to, it's part of life. So you have to be open, with your loved ones, especially your kids. You don't want your kids to jump into a world they're not prepared.
Right.
That's why a lot of our youth is where they're at. Because parents are too weak nowadays. They cater to their babies and they pamper them and they paint the world pink. Like, no, man, the world is dark and there's a lot of dark people out there and there's a lot of evil, but there's also a lot of good, and they need to know both worlds. That's how I was raised. So, hey, I might be a little cuckoo, but hey, this is Gabby, and that's how I was raised. So,
Well, you and I have different perspective on lives, especially the way that we were brought up.
Yeah.
I was never introduced to this type of subject, nor, was I ever told about these things. So that's an interesting point, because you're able to shed light to this, and there's people obviously just like me out there that haven't really been told about these certain situations.
younger, yeah.
Right. My parents never really said anything about it. They just, I think they think, just like a lot of parents, that their kids are probably innocent until they start to develop their own situations. But if it could save somebody's life, if it can save their future, if it can, just why not? What do you have to lose? You know what I mean?
A little embarrassment.
Right. Yeah. So back to the birds and the bees on the kids' point of view. It is important at a I would say, like at a young teenaged age in their life or whatever. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so like I said before, I have two sons, and they were when I started realizing that they were getting mature, and or not mature, but when they were going through puberty. First of all, I had told their dad, like, hey, I think it's time. I think you need to start talking to, the oldest and about sex. And he did. I don't know what was said, because that's a boy a boy to boy conversation, but I feel like that shouldn't just be a father to son conversation. I'm their mom, and I also want the best for my two sons. So I have no embarrassment to talk about sex. I know my boys think it's a little weird, but I keep it very simple, straight up. I tell my sons, if you're gonna start having sex, please be smart. Use a condom. And it's just so funny because they get so weirded out when I tell my sons use a condom, and they're like, stop, mom, stop. But no, I'm not gonna stop, and I tell my sons, look, I'm not trying to be intrusive. All I'm saying is, please protect yourself. Please protect yourself. Be careful. There's women who lie. There's women who been all over the world, and you got to be careful that they're not gonna give you the gift that keeps on giving. So I am very open to my sons, and I tell them, I hope that one day you make the right decision with a perfect partner for you, but in the meantime, please take care of yourself. Please don't make me a grandma at a young age. It's not worth being a young parent because you have your whole life to live, unless you have your mind made up that you want to be some parents want to be a parent at 20 or 25. Hey, you got to know what you're walking into, but that's ultimately your decision. And I know that I can't control what my sons do, but at least I'm doing my due diligence as a mom to inform them, because guess what? If I don't inform them, or if their dad doesn't inform them, they're going to get the information, the incorrect information, from other fucking people. So why not you be the teacher? You be the teacher instead of them getting information that is probably accurate or bad.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to feel comfortable with your kids. I mean, honestly, think about this logically. If you do not teach your kids or educate them, let's say educate, not teach, educate your kids, somebody else is gonna do it for you. And who knows what type of information is gonna be given to them. So why not, if you're going to, you love your kids, that is part of loving them, is actually being their teacher as well.
Right.
And
yeah, I think you guys being honest with your kids is the number one key. And with nowadays the school systems and what they're teaching, who knows exactly what information they're getting out there. So yeah, it's best that your kids do obtain certain knowledge from their number one teacher, which is you guys.
There you go. I mean, I think this is
a no-brainer.
Well, for a lot of people it's not a no-brainer, but hey, I really hope that people can at least relate to us. We're not sitting here pretending to be experts and but shit, if you've learned some things, I was a young parent, so I can hopefully someone could relate to that with me. Or, I was married, kind of, sort of sexually frustrated because of my embarrassment towards, to be open-minded or to be, have that full communication with my partner. So, hey, if we can help somebody at least relate, at least somebody is going to listen to us and say, hey, that's relatable. I've gone through that, or I'm going through that. I hope somebody can get something from this. So, I mean, I hope everybody out there has a great one. And like I said before, if you guys have any topics that you'd like for us to discuss, I would like for you guys, I gave you guys the wrong email address the last time, so I like to update the email address that you guys could send any topics to us. So let's see here. You're going to send it over to we have a podcast email. It's the GM podcast 21 at gmail.com. So the word the GM podcast 21 at gmail.com. If you guys would like us to speak about anything, please, please, please feel free to give us a shout out there. So I think we're about wrapping this up. I'd like to wish everybody a great one. Please be safe. Please be safe, especially in the sexual community. I hope everybody out there has an amazing day.
There you go, you guys. We just finished hitting the scales. Hopefully the subject wasn't too heavy for you guys. It wasn't for us, but we got plenty of topics to talk about, and we expect, or we hope that you guys feel free to hit us up with any subjects that you want us to cover.
There you go. Catch you on the flip side.